Hello there everyone and welcome to a new review on the channel, and today we're looking at Colorscope by Hansen Chen and Pearl Lee. A very interesting effect that I've been reticent to buy for quite a long time. There's plenty of reviews out there, you've probably seen a lot of them on the YouTube, and I've always been reticent to buy it, but recently I needed to fill my cart with something to get free shipping, and I've always had this on my radar. It was always something that I wanted to buy but never did, and I decided to buy it. And when I received it, I felt that this was a bit different than what I expected it to be, and because of that, I feel that it's pertinent that if you have this on your radar and you've not decided to buy it already, that maybe I can give you a few tips and tricks or maybe some additional information that's going to make the decision of whether or not you should keep it on your list or whether you should add it to your cart in your next purchase. So having said that, let's roll the intro and learn more about Colorscope. Perfect. So you decide to stick around, which means you want to learn more about Colorscope. Now, what is Colorscope? In its most simplest form, Colorscope is a color reading routine. So in its essence, Colorscope, in my opinion, is not necessarily a magic effect. It's more of a reading, doing an intimate reading with a spectator. That's what this is at its core, okay? And then at the end, you do get a magical effect as your result. But in essence, I do believe it's more of a reading effect than anything else. So because of that, it's going to be a bit hard for me to perform it because I don't have a spectator. But I'm going to give you the gist of how this would work in a performance. So we're going to pretend that you're going to be the spectator. And of course, I'm not going to give you the readings and do all of the readings because then that performance will be a bit too long. But essentially, you would introduce from your wallet or from your pocket or from your keychain these chips, and you would ask your spectator if they know a bit about colors, the meaning of colors, etc. Then you talk about that with them. But then you ask them if they know what a Colorscope is, and then you explain to them what a Colorscope is and what it achieves, and that sets the premise for your effect. And you tell them that in here you have the meaning of the different colors and what feelings they produce and what personality traits they highlight. So you tell them we're going to get to that in a moment because I'm going to ask you to do it. So then you would take, for example, a random chip, you'd say the red one, you'd give it to the spectator and you tell them, what feelings do you get from the red color? What images does it portray to you? What personality traits do you think you would associate with the color red? They proceed to tell you, and you ask them to place it on the table. You then give them another color, let's say the yellow one. You give them the yellow, you ask them the same questions, you do a small reading, and you discuss with them, and you tell them they can put it on either side, either here or here, and let's say for the purpose of this, they place it right there. Then you continue your experiment and you give them, for example, the blue one, and you ask them the same questions, you do the reading with them, you interact with their answers, and you tell them to place the blue one right there, or of course there if they so want, we'll place it here. You do the same exact thing with the last one. You give them the green one, you go through the reading, and then you tell them that they could place it here, and that they could just place it here. You give them space, but of course they can change their mind and place it there. But let's say they organize it like this. Then you tell them, let's see how you did with the normal way that people interpret these colors. And then you would do a reading. Again, you would continue and you would show, oh, here, this is similar to what you said, this is different. Maybe this shows me this in your personality, you're a very caring person, etc. You give a small reading. But then you tell them, this was never about the readings. It was always about connecting them with these colors and have them arrange these colors into their personal Colorscope, into the Colorscope that they felt the strongest to without subconsciously thinking about them. Because the Colorscope represents the feeling and emotions that a person has. And you tell them that this was on the table before the effect even started, correct? And you tell them that this paper had from the beginning the exact Colorscope that they've arranged their chips on, which is yellow, red, green, and blue, on the back of this paper the entire time. And maybe it's an exercise of influence, or maybe it's just luck for them to decide. So that's essentially what Colorscope is as a routine and how it would play out. So having seen that, where do you buy this, how much does it cost, and what do you get? So you can buy this pretty much everywhere. It's available at any magic shop. I bought mine from ALAKAZAM Magic, and as I did in my recent Hide a Key video, if you want a small discount on your next purchase, I do have a code in the description that's going to give you a small discount. It's nothing much, but it's still better than nothing. And again, I'm not affiliated with ALAKAZAM Magic in any way. It's their new friendship program that's available to all their customers, and it basically gives people discounts and gives you a small benefit as well when you want to purchase on your next order. So if ever you want to buy this or any other products from ALAKAZAM, you can use that small discount link below on all your orders. So nonetheless, this costs $29.99 USD, and what you get is this. So you're getting this small box, and inside of this box you get a few things. First, you're getting your chips, which are made of wood. They're very, very good chips. They're wood. They're really well produced. Then you get your keychain to hold these plates of wood. In my opinion, I don't like this keychain. It's really, really like, I feel it's a bit cheap, and it works. It's a bit like, I don't know, I feel it's a bit, it doesn't work as well. I even feel it's maybe a bit broken. It's not a very good thing, but again, you can definitely put this on any keychain that you want. So, you know, you're not buying this for the keychain. Then you also get your Colorscope paper in English. So this is in English, but you also get an additional one. I believe that's in Mandarin. So you get an additional color guide in Mandarin. And then you also get these stickers for your colors that you can place. If you don't want to carry around this guide, you can use these to achieve your final prediction. And you can put these on your phone case or wherever you want. You can stick these and create your Colorscope, basically, you know, wherever you want it to appear. And then you also get, of course, here, your QR code that's going to take you to a link online on which you're going to find your instructions, which are around 25 minutes long. They're both instructions in English and I believe in Mandarin or in Chinese. I'm not so sure, so sorry for my ignorance. But the video in English is in English. It's not like other Hands and Chen effects and products where it's subtitled in English. This one is in English. And Pearl Lee does a really good job of explaining this. There's even 2 live performances. And I really appreciate the live performances because one of them highlights how the effect could maybe go wrong. It doesn't really go wrong, but it does go down a certain path that's going to need a bit of work. So I'm really appreciative that Pearl shows that to you in the instructions and then explains to you how he got out of it, because I feel a lot of times in some products where there's, you know, some outcomes that are very not desirable, they tell you, oh, quickly just do this and get out with it. They kind of want to brush it away. But I really do respect Pearly and Hands and Chen for including a full performance of that outcome in the tutorial. That is great. But apart from that, he's going to teach you everything that you need to know about the effect. And yeah, the instructional video is pretty good. So having said all of this, before we continue on, I do want to mention a few miscellaneous things. So first of all, this is not what you may think that it is. And I think that I thought it, and I think that most of you watching, if you're not already tuned out, because maybe you didn't like the routine or this is not for you, this is not an MO, okay? So this is not an MO. So really, this is not that. I thought it was. That's why I thought you get the guide, the stickers, and he shows you his screen in the phone. He shows you different places, different reveals, essentially. But the reveals are all the same, right? It's not MOs here. That's not what's at play here. It's something different. And it's not what you may expect it is. And I think that that has both some positives and some negatives to it, which I think play a lot in whether or not you're going to want to buy this. So I'll just cover this a bit. So as I mentioned, the reveal is the same whether you use this, whether you use the stickers, whether you use any other method, the reveal would be the same. Now, you can customize and make this an MO type of effect if you want, since you can have one MO here, one in your phone case or wherever you want, and one somewhere else, right? You can definitely do that. And I think, in my opinion, it will play a bit better and will remove a bit of the inconsistencies that you can encounter at the end of the routine if the colors don't match your prediction, okay? he does give you a very, very good way to change this and achieve a different outcome. That is very, very good. It's brilliant, okay? It's a very nice outcome, but already the fact that the spectator has put them in an order and then you tell them that, okay, let's mix them up further, it may seem to the spectator like, oh, but I wanted that order. You asked me to place these chips in here or here, wherever I wanted, and now you're asking me to mix them up. Why? Right? So it may ring some bells. It probably won't, but to me, it may ring some bells. And I've had places where I performed this effect and I had to do the adjustments, and to be honest, the reactions weren't as good. I'm being fully honest, the reactions weren't as good if you end up having to do that rather than just having it laid down. So yes, you can maybe go through a different route with your stickers, etc., but then you have to carry around so much of the effect that's maybe a bit unpleasant. So take with that as you may as we move into the review, but I really wanted to mention this to make it clear that if you think you know that this was an MO and that you're like, oh, okay, it is that, it's not, okay, it's different. And we're gonna talk about that as we move around, but I just wanted to make this small anecdote beforehand. So having said all that, what is the difficulty of this effect? So the difficulty of this effect is mostly in the language and in the script that you have, because as I mentioned, to me at least, this is not a magic effect in its nature. When you present this, you're not presenting this as a trick, you're not presenting this as an effect, you're not presenting this as anything, you're presenting this more as a reading. And that's what this is. This is a kind of an effect that's going to connect you with your spectator, give them a reading. You know, even he tells you in the tutorial that he had people, you know, give really like somber or more sad interpretations of the colors. And he says, for example, on the blue, most people associate blue with like joy or happiness. And then he had some people say, oh, really like rainy days, sad, you know, give him really like negative interpretations of the colors, and he took the opportunity to make that a reading about positivity and lift up the spirits of the spectator. And that's what this routine is. But for the purpose of the magic, it's not that difficult to perform. Yes, you will have to learn what the colors mean, give a reading, etc., and learn your script, but it's not that difficult in itself to perform. But there are some things you're doing during the routine that you hope are going to influence the spectator in doing certain things. Now, as I mentioned, yes, the spectator can put the chips on either side every time, but with your body language, with your words, with your gestures, with your attitude, you're kind of leading them towards a garden path that you want to achieve. So there's a bit of psychological forcing going on here that may or may not hit. If it hits, perfect, you're good to go, and you can use either the book or wherever you want. For me, myself, I really like the reveal in the book. I'm not a fan of putting it in my phone like Pearl Lee does, or by doing it as a lock screen, or by doing it as a saved picture, anything like that. I really don't like that. So for me, this is the best way I want to do it, so I'm always going to reveal it with this. But essentially, if everything goes right, you'll have it like this. Now, I've performed this, I'd say, by now, maybe around 10 times, okay? For some people, that's not enough, but I've still road tested it a bit before making the review, and I'd say 8 out of the 10 times that I performed this, I got everything that I needed for the outcome to work, okay? So I got what needed to happen, and everything worked perfectly, no adjustment. However, maybe 2 out of 10 times, or maybe more, if your script isn't as good, you will have to do a sequence to rearrange things, okay? So you will have to apparently mix up the Colorscope to make it more random. So for some people, that's maybe gonna put them off, but the procedure is sound in itself, but still, it's not the best, and that will require a bit of work, not necessarily in the procedure because it's self-working, but in justifying why you're doing it, okay? So none of this effect is hard because it has sleight of hand or complicated moves or displacements or things that you have to do while the spectator is not working looking because of misdirection. It's purely language-based and attitude and body language-based. So if that's not something that you really like, you'll maybe have a hard time, and maybe this effect is not for you, because as many as you probably think. I just expect that the spectator can place them literally in any order that they want, and then you'll have adequate reveals for every single order that they placed the chips in, but that's not the method. So to kind of sum this up, difficulty-wise, I'd say intermediate. I'd say minimum intermediate, maybe advanced. Not that it's difficult, but I think that if you're a new performer or someone new to mentalism or someone that doesn't really use a psychological forcing or anything like that in their work, you may have some difficulty in getting the best outcome here. It's not difficult, like it's hard to explain without tipping everything away in terms of method, but you will have to do a bit of work. So intermediate, I'd say at the least, to achieve the perfect outcome and have everything flow the way you want it to flow. Having said that, what about practicality? Is this effect practical to perform? And the answer is, well, yes. One, to carry it around, you just take these chips, you put them either on this keychain or on your keychain, and as long as you have this on your keychain as an everyday carry, you're able to perform this effect whenever you want, depending also on the reveal. If you want to use the book, like I like to do, then you place this inside of your wallet, and this has an everyday carry as well. If you want to do it in your phone with the stickers, or have your stickers on a prediction inside of an envelope, etc., then you'll have to carry around a few additional things and adjust certain things for when you go to perform. But pretty much, this is super thin, goes in your wallet, or if you're using your phone or a small envelope and you put stickers on it, it's pretty much impromptu everyday carry. You just put this in your wallet and you have these on your keychain and you're good to go. So practicality wise of carrying this around, it's nothing too difficult. However, practicality wise, you will need a table for this. You cannot do this in your spectator's hands. You will need a table, you will need to be seated, and you will need time, because this is not a short routine and you don't want to just do them. Oh, what do you think this is? Happiness. What do you think this is? Anger. What do you think this is? Creativity. What do you think? Doing it like that is just boring and it doesn't get anything across, right? So you will need a bit of time. You will need a spectator, preferably just one, and you'll need a table to do this effect. So this is where, for some people, again, this effect might hit or not hit, but practicality wise, you will need all of that. Second of all, moving forward into where to perform. So as I mentioned, this is the best done in a one-on-one with a table. So I don't necessarily think that this would work in parlor. It could work, right? If you're doing a one-on-one and you're doing a kind of more reading-based show with like Q&A, tarot readings, etc., this could play well in a one-on-one with a spectator, definitely. However, this will probably not be suited for stage. This is not suited for walk-around table hopping. This is not suited for restaurants table hopping, for cocktail parties, for weddings, anything where you hop from table to table with people, music. This is not it. So this is really for casual performances, one-on-one, or if you catch someone one-on-one and they ask you to perform something and there's a table, or maybe in a parlor setting in a Q&A type show, tarot reading type show, this could play well. But apart from that, it's not going to play in your, they market this at EDC, but to me, EDC is something where someone's just going to be like, oh, my buddy here is a magician. Can you show us something? This is probably not when you'll be showing them, on the street or at a party or something like that. You'll probably not be showing them this. So that's what I want to say. Yes, EDC, it's easy to carry around, but it's not necessarily built for an EDC type situation. So having said all this, what are the positives and negatives of Colorscope? Let's start with the negatives. What are the negatives? Negative number one is that this routine is purely vocal based. I don't know if that's a thing, but purely based around your script, around your body language, and around your words, okay? So for some people, that's not the type of magic that they like or do, so this is definitely not for you. 2, this also requires a table and a spectator and a specific setting, which means that you're not going to be able to do this everywhere, anytime, at any place. This is not the effect for that. So then again, that might not be for you. And third of all, if you're not into colors or into giving readings to your spectator, then definitely this is not a trick for you, because the payoff, like the magic trick at the end, is not as impressive and not as important as what you do beforehand. Having said that, what are the positives of Colorscope? So the positives are the props that you're getting are beautiful. This is really well done. It's done on like not on cheap paper. It's not like on like a bit of plastified paper. The chips are on wood. They're very well painted. They're very like well done. These are gonna last you a very long time. They even provide you a keychain, even though it's not that good. The instructions are super good. You know, it has live performances, everything that you need. The effect is relatively easy to do, even though it's verbal based. It's a connecting effect with your spectator, so it's a reading based effect. So if you really want to build a rapport with your spectator, this could be a very fun trick to do it in, and it gives you opportunities to reveal the ending in different ways that you want. Now, also, another positive is that you could just use these as a reading-based tool. So if you don't even want to do the reveal and you just want to give someone a reading, instead of carrying tarot cards or additional things with you, you could just have these on your keychain and give someone a reading. You can simply just give someone a reading based on the colors. So it's fun that this is not necessarily a magic trick. You can just play this out as like a reading and just do an impromptu reading to someone if you meet the criteria of where to perform this. So, having said all of this, would I recommend Colorscope, and what would I rate it out of 10? Would I recommend Colorscope? And my answer is, to most people, no. I don't think that Colorscope is an effect that's going to please everyone. I don't think it's an effect that everyone is going to want to perform. I don't think it's an effect that's going to fit everyone's performing style. I don't think it's an effect that's going to fit the venues that people perform at. So I do think this is a bit of a more niche product that if you feel that you can play this out to its full potential, then yes, I recommend it. If not, for the majority of magicians, so strolling magicians, etc., I don't think that this is something for you. Nonetheless, it is a good product. It is not bad. Is it something that I'm going to use? Maybe yes, maybe no. I don't really know. I'll have this on my keychain moving forward for the next few weeks, but I don't necessarily know if I'm going to perform this, because most of the time that I perform, it's either parlor and I'm doing like variety shows, or it's mostly table hopping from table to table at weddings or venues like that. So this is not going to perform. So I don't know if I'm going to perform. And when I'm out with friends, most of the times, you know, we're out with like 5, 6 people, and if they ask me to do something, it's for the group. They're like, oh, what'd you learn? Can you show us something? And it's for a group. So I wouldn't necessarily do this. So I don't know if I'm going to perform it, but it is still a good effect. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It's a good effect, but it's not something for everyone. It's not something that's going to please everyone and fit their needs, but it's still nonetheless a good product. So having said all of that, I hope I give you everything that you needed to learn about Colorscope and whether or not this is for you or not for you, and whether you should keep this on your list to add to cart or just delete it from it. I hope that I gave you all the information needed to make you make a sound purchase. So thank you so much. If you have any additional questions or comments, maybe you love this effect a lot and you want to, give me some tips of how to perform it in different ways, feel free to comment down below. If not, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see everyone in my next review. Have a good one.